Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Eileen. I am an implementation specialist here at RedTeam Go. And during today's webinar, we're going to go over QuickBooks Online and RedTeam Go and how that integration works. Okay. So we'll be going over a few things. To get started, we will go over just a brief explanation of the integration of RedTeam Go and QuickBooks Online and how they work together. Then we're going to go through some actual steps. We'll go over accepting a subcontractor's invoice, which accepting this invoice is the trigger that will then push that invoice to QuickBooks for you. Okay. We will then also go over how to enter a subcontractor's invoice. For those subcontractors that aren't entering their invoices using the RedTeam Go portal, rather they're emailing them out to you. So we'll go over how to enter that for them. We'll also go over how to accept an owner's pay application that your project manager may have entered. And we'll go over what accepting that owner's pay application does. We will also go over accepting and entering an expense for an employee. And we'll go over how to enter a one-time invoice. This is going to be an invoice that you want to place against your project. However, it's not an invoice that came from a subcontractor that is billed against a subcontract agreement. Rather, it'll be an invoice for something such as a dumpster rental, right? Okay, so let me get into RedTeam and we will get started. Okay. All right, so we are first going to go over, sorry about that, everyone. So first we're going to go over, like I said, the integration between RedTeam Go and QuickBooks. Okay. So the way that RedTeam Go and QuickBooks work is you will enter something such as a subcontractor's invoice into RedTeam. When that invoice is entered, there are steps. It needs to be approved by the project manager, usually, making sure that the subcontractor is in fact billing us for the correct amount. Once it's approved by that subcontractor, the accountant, person with the accounting permissions and the project accountant on the project itself will then review the subcontractor invoice that was approved, and they will then accept it. Accepting it is what pushes this transaction and creates the transaction for you in QuickBooks Online. It's going to be the same with our owner pay apps. Project manager may enter the owner pay app. However, the accountant is going to be the one who reviews the pay app and accepts it. Accepting it again is what's going to create that transaction for you in QuickBooks. Okay. Now your QuickBooks Online integration is right over here under accounting. And then you'll come down to QuickBooks Online. Here is where you'll be able to view the transactions that are being created in RedTeam and pushing over to QuickBooks. Okay, you can see all of my transactions here are successful. Sometimes you will see failures. As you can see here, my main budget for my project Cafe Elise did not go through. You'll see that it says failed. And if you click right here, it's going to give you the reason why. Okay, so it did tell us that the reason why it failed, I guess, is because we have 0 line items for this particular budget. If you wanted to filter just for your failed transactions, you can come right over here to filter settings. Okay, so I'm going to say I want to only show my successful transactions. If I check pending transactions, that means it's going to show me any transactions that are waiting to go over to QuickBooks Online. Okay, and then I can even choose to select which transaction type am I looking for. Am I looking specifically for expenses that may have failed, owner pay apps, sub billings, so on. Once you select apply, you'll see all of your failures here. And then you can go through and we can figure out, well, why did these fail? Okay. Now, if you ever have any questions about these failures, if you're having issues figuring out what these failures mean, please feel free to always right over here, select the chat option, come to messages, and reach out to one of our support staff, okay? They'll be able to assist you with that. You can also reach out to your CSM, or if you're still in the training phase, reach out to your implementation specialist. Right? So this is where you're going to be able to view the integration log. Like I said, anything that you've created in RedTeam that is pushing over to QuickBooks. Now, when we created the integration, or when we set up the integration, I mean, we went through, if you remember, uh, we asked questions and we set our filters. Those are right over here. If you ever needed to look at those settings that we went through when we did the integration, you're just going to select settings and it'll bring you right over here. So if you ever need to make any changes, maybe Red Team is notifying the wrong contact in your, in your business. Sorry about that. Let me get back in here. Okay, so we're going to select settings. So right here, notification recipients. Let's say Red Team is notifying the incorrect contact in your database when, let's say, the QuickBooks connection fails. You'll be able to select that person here, okay? Also, let's say you want to make some changes. You want to turn on the activate integration by job, meaning you don't want all of your projects to push to QuickBooks. You want to control what projects push to QuickBooks. You would be able to turn that on right here. Selecting this toggle is going to create a toggle for all of your projects where you can choose if you want to integrate or not. Okay. Now, if anyone has any questions during this, please feel free to reach out. Please use the chat. We also have the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You can use that and ask me any questions that you have during this webinar. Oops, sorry about that. Let me share my screen one more time. There we go. Okay. So again, we were over here. We came into our QuickBooks Online integration settings, which are in the accounting menu, and then we selected our settings. So any of those items that we went through during the integration, if you need to change them at any time, you can come in here, okay? Right, so if you wanted to turn on your activation integration by job, meaning you can pick and choose which projects you push over to QuickBooks, you would check that here, okay? If you want to stop or you want to start being able to keep track of costs while the project is in the bidding phase, you have those options here. If you selected having the construction budget from RedTeam Go, push over to QuickBooks, but you realize you would rather track the owner estimate in QuickBooks, you would make that change right over here, okay? Any changes that you make here, just make sure you're always selecting the save button right here so that those changes will actually save and take effect. Okay. All right. Okay, if no one has any questions, we're just going to start moving along and we're going to go through how you accept a subcontractor's invoice. Okay, so you're going to come over here into the accounting menu and you'll be able to view any subcontractor invoices that are waiting on your approval. As soon as you come to accounting, Red Team immediately brings you to the approved sub billing option. Okay, so I can see for Mystery Spot, my project, I do have a bill waiting on my approval. Alrighty, so to approve it, I'm just going to click right into it. Okay, we can see here is my invoice. Let's make some space. All right, if you're viewing this and you're realizing an error, a change needs to be made by the subcontractor who entered this invoice, you do have the ability to select request edits. Okay, requesting edits, right here, you'll just send an email asking the subcontractor, hey, please change your percentage. We agreed upon a 5% deposit. Okay, you put that in there and you'll select send. Now, if you don't need to request an edit, you actually approve this pay app. What you're going to do is select approve/accept bills. Okay, now here's where you're going to be able to select what date do you want this transaction to appear on in QuickBooks. Alrighty, so it's defaulting right here to the date that this was entered. If I want to change this date and maybe have it go over as an invoice from the 1st, I can change that date right there. Okay, so I'm going to select yes. There you go. And Red Team has now pushed that over to QuickBooks for me. Oh, whoops, let me move that out of the way for you guys. Okay. Right, so now if I go back and just please notice, I selected accept and it did go through. This is now a different invoice. So don't select accept again unless you are accepting this new invoice from a different subcontractor, okay? All right, if you want to return to that billing list, you'll come right over here. Okay, and you can see no longer any bills waiting for me. So if I select filter, I'm going to change my filter to pull up all of them, all of my projects, all of my pay apps. Here we goes my mystery spot, and here's that invoice. Okay, you can see that the status has been changed to accepted. Accepted means that it was pushed over to QuickBooks. Okay, and just to show you, here's the waiver and lien release. If you have your digital notarizations turned on for lien waivers, when your subcontractor enters their invoice, RedTeam will automatically generate their waiver. It will apply their digital signature. And then when I, as the accountant, or you as the accountant, approve and accept this pay app, RedTeam will then apply my signature right here. And if I am a notary republic, which I put myself as, it will apply your stamp right there as well. Okay. Now, if you have any questions about turning that option on, again, please reach out to us. Reach out to your implementation specialist, your CSM, or you can always use the chat function like I mentioned. Okay. Alrighty. Now, let's say our subcontractor emails me their pay app. They don't enter their invoice. Instead, they email it to me, and I need to enter it into RedTeam Go. Okay, the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to come right back into my accounting menu as I am, and right here in the same area for approved sub billing. Okay, and instead I'm going to select add new sub bill. Once I do that, I'll go through, enter my project, select the company that sent me this pay app, and then enter their invoice number. Once I do that, I'll select create new sub bill. Then RedTeam brings me to their schedule of values. So we can see they previously billed me 10%. So now we're doing progress billing. If they're 50% completion, I'm going to change this to 50, and then it generates the amount that they're billing me for. Okay, we're going to make sure that we come in here and ensure that their period start and period end dates are correct. Under attached documents, you're able to drag and drop and attach a copy of the invoice if they've sent you one. So I can say that this is a bill. If they've submitted a lien waiver outside of RedTeam, you can upload it and say that this is a lien waiver as well. Okay. Alrighty. So now once you've done this, you're going to select submit bill. Because I am an accountant, that is the final step. Once I submit the bill will be approved, accepted, and pushed over to QuickBooks. So again, if we want to look at that, we're just going to come over here and I can filter by my project. So I don't need to look at all of the projects. Okay, and here's my latest bill. And you can see it's been accepted. Again, accepted means it pushed over to QuickBooks. All right, now their lien waiver has not been signed. You can see here it says import lien, not signed. So your subcontractor can log into RedTeam Go and digitally sign it. If they don't do that, you can come over here, print it. Here's the lien waiver. Now I can email it to them for their signature. Once they send it back to me signed, I'm going to come right back over here, select import lien, and I'm going to upload that signed lien waiver. And then here I'll say approve. Okay. Now, by looking at my subcontractor invoices, there are two ways that I can know just by glancing if I have a lien waiver on file. One is either this check. This check mark means I imported the lien waiver and approved it, or I'm going to have this little paper with the feather plume. Okay, that means that they digitally signed it. All right, so just by glancing, I can see that I have these two, whereas these three are missing their lien waivers. Okay, and again, I just want to open this up. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, great. All right, so we're just going to move along. So far we've gone over how to accept a subcontractor's invoice. We've gone over how to enter a subcontractor's invoice. So next we're going to go over how to accept an owner's pay app. Okay. Now the pay apps are over here under billing. You'll want to make sure that you're in the project, and then you go to billing. There's two ways to approve an owner's pay app. One is by coming directly into the project. Another way is you can just stay right here inside your accounting menu, right? But go to notarize billing. Okay, so approved sub-billing is where your subcontractors' pay apps are going to live, but notarized billing is where your owner's pay apps are going to live. Okay, so here we go. I have quite a few pay apps that are waiting for my approval and acceptance. All right, but we're just going to work on the mystery spot project. Okay, so here's my pay app. Here's the amount. This is a 100% billed pay app. So we are going to select view and notarize. That's going to open up my pay app. You can see my PM's signature is right here. Okay, once I view it, everything looks good to go. Whoops. If I am a notary, I will select notarize. If I'm not a notary, I can just select approve. Okay, either way, they're both going to do the same thing. Alrighty, if my, excuse me, if my project manager made an error somewhere on this pay app, I can unsign it and then make the change myself, or I can unsign it and then respond and ask them to please make that change before I approve it. Okay. But my pay app is great, so I'm going to select notarize. Now, selecting notarize is going to push this document over to QuickBooks, and it's also going to then email the owner a copy of their pay app. Alrighty, so you can see the owner's email is already generated right here. Here's the body of the email, and here is the subject. If I want to change the subject, I can. Same thing, if I want to change that body of the email, I can do so right here. Righty, when I'm ready, I'm going to select I agree. And there you go. Red Team has emailed that pay app over to my owner. Okay. So again, if we want to check to make sure that these transactions are going over, we're going to come right over here to accounting, select QuickBooks Online integration, and we can see here these are successful. Okay, these have pushed over the pay app that I accepted from the subcontractor, the pay app that I entered for the subcontractor, and now the pay app that I have accepted for the owner. They have all been pushed over and created for me in QuickBooks. Okay. Now, when my owner pays me, I'm going to obviously mark that invoice in QuickBooks as paid. Now, the way that Red Team and QuickBooks work, the conversation doesn't go both ways. So if I mark the invoice as paid in QuickBooks, it does not tell Red Team. So I will want to come over to the billing menu for that project. And I will say right over here, I'm going to change this paid status to yes. So I'm going to select no. I'm going to put in the date they paid me, and then I'm going to put in the amount they paid me. If the amount that I'm entering that they paid me is more or less than what I billed them, you are going to want to not save this. You're going to want to redo the invoice, okay? We're going to want to delete the invoice that was created in QuickBooks. We're going to want to come into Red Team, open this invoice back up and edit it so that it matches the exact amount that my owner paid me. Okay, so that's another thing I need you to understand about the relationship between Red Team and QuickBooks. If I delete a transaction in Red Team, it does not delete it for me in QuickBooks. If I edit a transaction in Red Team, once it has been pushed over to QuickBooks, it will not edit that transaction in QuickBooks. So if I do need to make a change to something, I will need to delete that transaction in QuickBooks, make the change in Red Team, and then allow RedTeam Go to push that new transaction over to QuickBooks. Okay. Alrighty, so that's how you're going to mark your pay apps as paid. If you wanted to view this pay app, so here's that 100% bill that I just submitted to my customer. I'm going to select the ellipses icon. I'm sorry, we're actually going to click into the number 4, click into that pay app, and then we can print the pay app right here. So I've printed this one with the lien release. Okay, again, when I accepted it, when I notarized it, because I'm a notary, it applied my notary information right there. Okay, Here's my schedule of values. And then here is my waiver and lien release. Okay. Right. With my project manager's signature and with my signature and my notary. Okay. Alrighty. So we just went over accepting an owner's pay application. The next thing that I am going to cover is how to accept an expense, an employee expense that was entered. Alrighty, before we move forward, I'm just going to pause here and again, ask if you guys have any questions. Okay, and if you don't, let's move forward. So, expenses. Again, we are going to come back into the accounting menu and navigate right over here to expenses. Any expenses that are waiting on me to accept are right here. Okay, so you can see these expenses have been approved. Approved means that the expenses were entered, my project manager reviewed it, and he approved it. He made sure that the correct cost code was selected. He made sure that the receipt matched the amount entered. Alrighty, so again, it's been approved. My job is to now accept it because accepting it is what pushes this transaction to QuickBooks. Okay. So if I wanted to view this, I'll select the ellipses icon and I can select print. Okay. Easiest way to do it. Here's where it's going to show me my project information, the vendor's information. Here's the cost code that this was coded to with the total amount and a copy of the receipt. As long as my superintendent, my project manager, whoever created this expense, as long as they uploaded a copy of the receipt, that will show up here. Okay. And you can see the date that it was approved on by the project manager. All right, so if everything looks good to go, I am good to push this over. We're going to select that ellipses icon and accept. Okay, now, again, this is going to bring up the date field. If I accept it, RedTeam's going to push it over with the date of 5/20, okay? If I leave this blank. But let's say I want to push this over, I want it to go over as May 1st. I'll come over here, enter that date, and select Save. Now RedTeam will create this expense transaction in QuickBooks, and it's going to be dated as May 1st. Okay, and those are expenses. If you have to enter an expense for an employee, you'll do that here in Expenses. You'll select Add Expense, put in the project name, the date of the expense, the vendor that the expense is from. You'll select the payment method, and then you'll enter the total amount. Okay, you'll enter who submitted the expense. And then down here is where you're going to select, well, which cost code am I going to code this expense to? Now, RedTeam is only going to show you cost codes that you have assigned to that project within that project's budget. Okay, so if you need to code this to a cost code that is not here, you'll just have to reach out to the project manager, let them know, and then they can add that cost code to the project. But if not, I'm just going to select my cost code, put in my amount, and right here is where I'm going to be able to upload a copy of my receipt. Now, once I've done that, because I am the accountant, I have the ability to just save and approve. Okay, so it's in here, it's been saved, it's been approved, but we still need to do the final acceptance. So we'll select the ellipses icon and accept. Okay, and push that right over. I'm going to leave it to push over with that 5/18 date. So those were expenses. Okay. The next thing that I would love to show you is how to enter a one-time invoice. This can be an invoice for a dumpster rental or porta potties. This is going to be an invoice that you are entering that is not an expense, and it is not from a subcontractor that is going against their subcontract agreement. Okay, so to do that, we're actually going to remain in the expenses menu. Okay, so we're going to select Add Expense, enter the project, enter the date of the invoice that we received, enter who we received this the invoice from, so the name of our vendor right here. We'll enter their invoice number. Payment method will remain blank, because even though we're in expenses, we're creating an invoice. And there is no payment method because we have not paid it. So we will leave payment method blank, but here's where we'll put in our amount. Again, who is creating this? And then select from our cost codes. Okay. And then if you have a copy of the invoice, you'll upload that right over here. You have the option to put in a description, but now we are not going to save and approve. We are going to select this checkbox, assign PO/commitment number when approved, and then upload as vendor bill. These two boxes are very important. Selecting these two boxes is what's going to send this over to QuickBooks as an invoice. Okay, so now you'll no longer, when you get those one-time invoices, you don't need to go into QuickBooks and add it in QuickBooks. You're going to add it in RedTeam. You're going to keep track of that job cost in RedTeam, and RedTeam will create this invoice for you in QuickBooks. So once you've made sure to select assign PO and commitment number when approved, you'll select upload as vendor bill, and then again, we're going to save and approve. That creates it. Now we're going to accept it because accepting is the final step. And again, we can come over here and I'm going to put that over as the first. And yes. Okay. All right. And now that I've done that, RedTeam has created this in QuickBooks for me. Okay. So yeah, we've pretty much gone over everything. We've gone over how to enter or how to accept subcontractors' invoices, how to enter subcontractor invoices. We've gone over how to how to accept a pay app for an owner and how to enter expenses, how to approve expenses, and also how to push over one-time invoices. I'm going to just open this up again one more time before we log off and just see if anyone has any questions. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Thank you for joining. We will have this up on our website to view in the future if you need to. Again, if you have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to reach out to your CSM, your implementation specialist, or you can use that chat at the very bottom inside RedTeam Go. Okay. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend.